This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Harley Race.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
This is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans from around the corner and around the world, welcome to another installment of Wrestling Insiders. I'm Dan Marotti here at MWF Studios, just north of Boston in beautiful Melrose, Massachusetts. In this installment, let's take a look at WWE Monday Night Raw from Monday, July the 13th, 2015 in Hotlanta, Georgia. Fans, you truly are our tag team partners in keeping the Millennium Wrestling Federation and Boston Wrestling alive, continuing to bring you a wide variety of great free content online and our action-packed live events featuring the superstars and legends of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. You can make a welcome donation to us direct via PayPal using the email address bw@bostonwrestling.com or help us by engaging with some of our partners. In the month of July, WWE Network presents two huge live events, both featuring Brock Lesnar in the Squared Circle. Beast in the East, July 4th in Tokyo, Japan, as well as the Battleground pay-per-view Sunday night, July the 19th from St. Louis, Missouri, as Lesnar takes on the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins. The first time Lesnar will have had a chance to get his hands on Rollins since WrestleMania. If you haven't subscribed to the best value in professional wrestling media as of yet, click on the link below and watch it on any online platform. You can also help us by doing your shopping on Amazon.com and WWEshop.com using our links below. No matter what you buy, even non-wrestling items on Amazon, we get a small kickback for leading you their way, and it does not increase your purchase 1 single cent. It's a great way to help us out while doing your regular shopping. We have a great online campaign headed your way this summer as we begin our 14th anniversary celebration. We'd also be happy if you joined us by subscribing for free to our YouTube channel. We're starting to close in on 800 free videos for your viewing pleasure, and if you enjoy what you see, please share it with your friends, and more than anything, click the like button on YouTube so it'll showcase more of our giant library to more and more of your fellow professional wrestling fans. In a day and age when indie and underground are cool, let's make this as big as it can possibly get, fans. We got a lot of great content for fans anywhere in the world to enjoy on YouTube, as well as the BostonWrestling.com super site. This week's Raw needed to make an impact. Just 6 days away from WWE Battleground this Sunday night, July the 19th, on WWE Network and pay-per-view, emanating from St. Louis, Missouri. We've had some of the lowest-rated Raws in nearly 2 decades of late. Needed a blockbuster show. Let's see what we had. The show opened up with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman coming out with the destroyed Cadillac sitting by the entranceway. Seth Rollins came out 6 minutes into that. Nothing wrong with anything that was being said or being done, but it was pretty much the same promo we've seen week after week here. You had Heyman and Kane getting into it. He called Kane Undertaker's baby brother. Heyman said Lesnar is going to come to the contract signing with peace in his heart later on in the show, but if they break the 11th commandment, Suplex City would come to Atlanta. Ryback and Randy Orton teamed up to defeat Sheamus in the Big Show. Long match, but it was solid. Put over Orton and Sheamus' grudge as they square off at Battleground one-on-one, as well as the Intercontinental title triple threat match where Ryback, the Big Show, and Miz collide. The Miz was sitting at the commentary booth during this one. For the finish, Randy Orton RKO'd Sheamus with Ryback going up to the top rope and ending a big splash for the pin. He had a great angle. We were supposed to see Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt in singles action, but just as Bray Wyatt's entrance was ending, Roman Reigns was waiting from him right behind him. The two have had issues with phony Bray Wyatts of late sneaking out, and Bray Wyatt coming up out of nowhere when the lights have gone out. This time around, it was Roman Reigns returning the favor. He was standing behind Wyatt. The two had a great, intense brawl around ringside. I think Reigns got in a little too much offense with it, trying to build up the pay-per-view match, and the heel should get the heat until the babyface gets the retribution, which in theory would be the pay-per-view at Battleground. You never know if that program is going to be extended between Wyatt and Reigns, but I'll tell you this, it's been a heck of a angle so far. I can't wait to see what happens at the pay-per-view and beyond, as Reigns and Wyatt have great chemistry. Wyatt wound up hitting Roman in the head with the lantern. He was off, and we wait for these two to hook it up in St. Louis. treated to another horrible Bellas promo. Stephanie McMahon had to come out to try and save this baby. She said the Bellas don't own WWE, she does. And just as I was thinking to myself, what a waste of Stephanie McMahon's talents, she started to bring out all the NXT divas. You're talking about Becky Lynch, Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and at the same time you had the other divas, Paige and Naomi and Tamina coming out. It was one hell of a memorable angle. I mean, the diva segments of late have been worse than ever. The Bellas in the ring are horrible. They embarrass what the talented ladies do. Like I said, that's not a personal attack against the Bellas. They could be fine human beings. They're very pretty women. I just don't think they're that good at being professional wrestlers. I know they have to push Total Divas, but the girls that you want to see in the ring, they're in WWE right now, baby. You're talking about Sasha Banks, you're talking about Charlotte, and you're talking about Becky Lynch. They've lit NXT on fire on the WWE Network. They've started to take the NXT brand on the road for live event house shows. Now they're coming up to where the proverbial big boys play. It's going to be a great change of scenery for the women/divas division in WWE. I can't wait to see what happens next. Stephanie McMahon gave all of these girls some great rub. Let's see what they do with the opportunity to be in there with the boss. Mark Henry and the Primetime Players teamed up to defeat The New Day in six-man tag team action. I was very surprised to see Mark Henry get the win over Xavier Woods. Mark Henry has been on the road to nowhere for, I don't know, a couple of years now. What was the last meaningful thing Henry did? Maybe his Money in the Bank title match against John Cena a couple of years back. I'm not even 100% sure on that. Henry kind of comes and goes, often injured, but it's always great to see the big man in action. He brings an intensity. Be interesting to see if he joins Primetime Players in their 3-on-2 style feud with New Day. The championship will be on the line Sunday night when the two teams collide in a rematch. R-Truth defeated King Barrett in yet another upset. I still have no idea why they brought back the King of the Ring concept to put it on a guy that's going to lose all the time, especially to an undercard act like R-Truth. And that's not to say R-Truth isn't talented, but he's not a major draw for the company. In an impromptu triple threat match made by the Authority, Rusev defeated Cesaro and Kevin Owens to see who would face John Cena in this week's U.S. Title Open Challenge. Fans, one hell of a matchup. All three were bickering over who would face Cena, so the Authority sent the word out that those three were going to collide in a triple threat match, and you couldn't have seen a better match on television this week. Let me tell you, folks, so happy that the creative in WWE has given Cesaro some quality material to work with after his blockbuster matches with John Cena. You cannot deny the reaction Cesaro is getting from the fans. You cannot deny the quality in the ring. If you want to point to the fact that maybe Cesaro has been in key spots on Raws that haven't done ratings that you might consider blockbusters, look at 1997, how bad some of the ratings were in 1997 when they were going head-to-head against Nitro. You've got to build new stars. You've got to build new headliners. And if you have to take a bullet for a while to grow them, that's what you got to do. That's so important in this industry, to create new stars, so you're not seeing the same thing over and over and over again. I can't state enough how much they need to expand the roster. If you go back to the Attitude Era, one page you can steal from that book. I'm not talking about swearing and blood and violence and so on in the TV PG era. You can take the giant rosters that both WWE and WCW had at the time, because in essence, everything was fresh just about every week. That's what kept the fans so excited about it. There was anticipation. Is there that much anticipation on Raw of late or on SmackDown of late? The anticipation is what keeps you coming back. WCW started to die because the show was too repetitive. Monday Nitro every week. It was the same beginning, same middle, same end, with some great cruiserweight action and mid-card action and tag team action in between. The superstars were virtually all dinosaurs at that point, and they were all overexposed. If you wanted to use legends like they had at the time, it was a few times a year, not every week. But the death of WCW is a different story for a different time. WWE got hot was because they assembled a giant, fresh, mostly younger roster that went out there and kicked ass. Even in a TV PG era, you can still put together a roster that's going to go out there and kick ass. Again, that's just one man's opinion, but I think a lot of fans agree with me, as there's more fans of professional wrestling in the United States right now that don't watch WWE, unfortunately, than do watch WWE. That is a ratings fact. Rusev looked really good in this matchup. I don't know if it's the boots that he's wearing now. Owens' intensity was great. He was screaming, "He's mine, he's mine," pointing at Cena as he was beating down Cesaro and Rusev. I love that intensity. That's part of what makes Owens so believable, and that's what you need if you want to make him a truly top guy that's going to stick, and they're off to a great start, to say the very least. Once things got a little too hot for Owens, he bailed. He took a powder to the back. He simply said, "Hey, I'll have Cena at Battleground on Sunday." It turned into Cesaro and Rusev going at it. Cesaro did maybe the biggest Cesaro swing to date, as Rusev looked like he was spinning around a carnival or something like that. Rusev climbed up to the top rope. Rusev knocked him down, then hit one of those Sambo kicks for the win. But what a great match. A great angle to build up Battleground on Sunday. Who knows? Maybe you'll get Cesaro and Rusev out of that. What we did get was Rusev taking on John Cena for the U.S. title after the commercial break. Rusev was exhausted at this point after that great triple threat match. It almost made Rusev come off like a babyface, almost sympathetic, and that a fresh Cena was facing a guy that just went, I don't have the clock next to me, but I'd guess around 20 minutes. Cena almost looked like he was taking it easy on him. He went for the attitude adjustment. Just as he was about to hit it, Rusev fell on top of him and put him on the accolade. Cena tried to fight out of it. He tried to hulk up, but Rusev kept it locked in. And just as it looked like Cena might actually submit, he had Kevin Owens come out and nail Rusev for the disqualification. Then Kevin Owens took out his frustrations and sent a message to Cena as Rusev got nailed with a pop-up powerbomb. Now that was impressive, folks. He had a Tough Enough segment. Lita came out to introduce everybody that's on the show. A lot I could say about Tough Enough. It's not even a competition in the men's division, in my opinion. You got to go with Rick Powers head and shoulders above everybody else that they selected. But more than I'm a fan of Rick Powers, I have to say, what were the powers that be, no pun intended, at WWE and USA Network thinking when they selected those 7 men to be on that show to create the next WWE superstar and give him a $250,000 contract? I could certainly see someone like Rick Powers being signed up at 19 and developed the WWE way. I think that would be very smart. Whether he wins Tough Enough or not, I think he should be relocating to Orlando in the very near future as a developmental talent. For the rest of the 6 guys, you look at them and what do you got? Is there anyone there that you'd say, you know what? That's someone I'm going to invest $250,000 in. Tough Enough almost comes across as 2 TV shows in one, and I think they need to separate to make the show better and far more interesting and get more value for the money spent. If you want to have a show where you take strangers off the street that have never been trained and groom them to become WWE superstars, you know what? That's a pretty cool show if you have 7 guys, 6 ladies, or however it was formatted this year, and eliminate them one by one until you have 2 people that you feel are WWE worthy. If you want to make a more, I don't know, second chances type of show, take 7 guys that have been trained to be wrestlers, 7 ladies that have been trained to be wrestlers, make that a separate show. I think that would be very interesting too. To have newcomers along with people that have already had some wrestling training in the same camp, I don't get it. And we don't see enough of the camp on the reality show itself. It's mainly the challenge nonsense that they have along with the live judgments and so on. And I got to say, what a waste of Hulk Hogan. I mean, one of the biggest stars in the history of professional wrestling, a mainstream household name, and to sit between Paige and Daniel Bryan, and it just seems out of place. And you're certainly not getting the most value out of Hulk Hogan as you certainly could. But again, that is a different story for a different time. Then after all the great wrestling you had, Stardust returned. Not Cody Rhodes, Stardust, the guy that's not over right now, guy that hasn't been over since he broke up with Goldust, and they had no continuation of the feud once that happened. Man that's been lost in no man's land came out trying to be a heel. A guy that everybody knows that his legendary father just passed away. Nobody wanted to boo him in his hometown of Atlanta, Georgia, and he went out there as Stardust. I think that was ridiculous, and it's going to be the kiss of death if they don't switch him back to Cody Rhodes in some way, shape, or form in the very near future. Stardust defeated Neville in a match that was ice cold. Fans didn't want to see Stardust acting like a buffoon. They wanted to tip their cap to this as being a big-time problem if they don't ex-nay Stardust and bring back Cody. Contract signing was the main event segment. It started off with the Seth Rollins promo. Not for nothing, but I've got to ask you as a fan, do you ever feel like, just after listening to something for 20, 30 seconds with some of these promos, they're all blah, 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 where it's so much of the same content, sometimes more than once in the same show. It just, at a time when the ratings are down, you need to present variety, something fresh instead of something that's already been on the same show. Do you really need to see Seth Rollins 4 or 5 times on Raw? That's not taken away from anything the man can do in the ring or on the mic, but you don't need to see him 4 or 5 times on the same show. It's boring. But anyway, the segment was great. In the end, I mean, Lesnar came out. They had a great stare down sitting at the contract signing table. Heyman and Rollins were going back and forth. Kane got in the mix there. Lesnar had an axe handle hidden underneath the table, and he actually handed it to Rollins. Then as Rollins looked at it, Lesnar got up with the entire table and smashed it into him. It was a great angle. Lesnar went to town on Rollins and Kane. They had a wild brawl around ringside. After Lesnar and Paul Heyman made their way to the back, Seth Rollins was pissed off at Kane, who was just laying there, injured from having his ankle smashed in from the steel steps, and then he went to town on Kane's ankle. Interesting way to go off the air just 6 days before Battleground. Again, this Sunday night from St. Louis, Missouri on pay-per-view in the WWE Network. Will the rumors be true that The Undertaker is going to return at Battleground? Could he get involved in the mix with Brock Lesnar, the man that ended his streak, as well as his brother Kane? Interesting stuff. Who wouldn't want to see The Undertaker return at this point, as he's winding down his career and probably only has, at best, a handful of matches left? I'd be very interested to see this. It was a tale of 2 shows, some great stuff, and some overdone fluff. When you get to the point where you feel like you've seen enough Paul Heyman, you've got a problem, a big-time problem, because he's great. But again, how much variety can he put into the same content, week after week, show after show? If you took the best segments from Raw, you'd have a hell of a 2-hour show this week. And again, I'm pleading for them to expand the roster so there's some more variety to these shows. Even if there were another 5 to 10 guys added to just TV contracts, not even full-time contracts, it could make such a difference. There should be 2 brands, to say the very least, because it's just the same stuff week after week, show after show. But if you want to talk about freshening things up, what about the women's/diva division? I imagine we're going to have some fresh matches forthcoming. Some new ladies that are arguably match for match better than many of the divas on the main roster. I'm going to be excited to see that. And I got to say, each match at Battleground Sunday night was built up great. There were no issues with a lot of nonsense. Some crisp, common sense angles for the most part. And I really look forward to seeing this event Sunday Night Live. They had a lot of time to build things up with the gap between Battleground and Money in the Bank. Would love to hear your thoughts on Raw this week. Feel free to leave them in the comments section below. We're running out of time here. Until we speak again, you and yours, be well.